A circle is the set of all points from a fixed distance called a radius. So this distance here is the radius. So what a circle is literally is I take a point and I take a distance and kind of like a clock hand, I go around and make points the whole way around. And that's how you make a circle. The diameter goes through the center of the circle from one side to the other. Yeah. So the whole red line is the diameter, and the diameter is twice the length of the radius, or the radius is half the length of the diameter, however you want to think about it. Okay, so the end points of the diameter are on the circle, and the midpoint of the diameter is the center of the circle. Okay. Shh. Okay, the radius is the distance from the center to any, so the center to the side, and I can go from here to here, here to there, anywhere, and it's the same length. Radius is always the same. Doesn't matter where you go to on the circle. Okay, a chord and a secant work together, so I'm going to do green. If I take a line and I cut the circle like that, this is a secant line. Wow, that looks terrible. Okay, so the secant line goes, it's just a line that cuts through a circle, but not through the center, just anywhere else. It can be towards the edge, it can be kind of towards the middle, just so long as it doesn't go through the center, it's a secant. And then this part of the secant right here, that's a chord. So the chord is like a diameter in that the end points are on the circle, but it's not the diameter because it doesn't go through the center. So the diameter goes through the center, a chord goes through a circle anywhere else. It can be, yeah, it could be over here, it could be right next to the center. As long as it doesn't go through the center, it's a chord. It can be any direction, like anywhere, just so long as it doesn't go through the center and its ends are on both sides. And then the tangent line goes like right next to the edge of the circle, but it only touches at one point. Now it looks like it's touching at more than one point because we can't draw it perfectly. We'd have to make that line really super thin to only touch it exactly one point, and then you wouldn't be able to see it. But the tangent line does not touch the circle. Tangent has an N in it. What is that? The tangent line only touches the circle at one point, and so it's basically, it skims along the edge and like hits the circle once and keeps going. It's like tag, right? It runs past it and goes tag and keeps going. Because we just put zeros in for H and K. Does that make sense? So we'll just skip that. So this is the formula for the equation of a circle. And what this tells us, this equation, once it has numbers in it, gives us the ability to graph a circle. That's what this is. So it gives us the equation. It's the equation of a line that goes around in perpetuality. Like that. Forever and ever and ever, right? The lines go on forever, while ours just happens to make a circle. So what we do, here's the center. Okay, if we're given the center and we're given the radius, we're going to plug it in. So I'm going to take the equation of the circle, okay, the center is always HK, alphabetically. H comes before K, so that's how you can remember which one goes where. Or you can think of it, X's go with X's, Y's go with Y's. So I'm going to take okay, H was -2. K is -3. And R is 5. Okay. The only thing I have to do is if I have minus a negative, that becomes a positive. Otherwise, if it's just a positive number, it just stays x minus 5 or 10 or whatever the number is. But if it's negative, then you have one more step. So it's x plus 2, y plus 3, and then you square the radius. And then that's it. If you're given the center and the radius, this is all you have to do. Just plug in the numbers and then square the radius and you're done. This right here is the equation for that circle. So if you had one of those nice fancy TI 89s or 92s that does a graphing calculator and you put this equation in, you would get this circle back. Again, if we're given a center and we're given a radius, this is h, this is k. So I'm going to plug those numbers in. X minus h, y minus k squared equals radius squared. I don't have to do anything to this, so it's just x minus 1 squared. Minus a negative, so that becomes y plus 3 squared, and then 3 squared is 9. Done.
What? That's the whole thing?
That's the whole thing. If you're given the center and the radius. That part's easy. If you're given the center and the radius, it's easy. No. Hold on. I have a center, this is HK, but I don't know my radius. Well, radius is the distance from the center to the edge. So to find the radius, I need to find the distance. And to find the distance between 2 points, I'm going to use the distance formula. So radius equals distance. So to find radius, which equals distance, I'm going to use the distance formula, which was, anybody remember it?
It's x, yeah.
X2 squared plus y1 minus 2y2 squared.
See, you guys are good. You got it already.
Why is it minus?
Because we're finding the distance between two things, so to find the distance, you subtract. Yeah. Okay, so we've got the square root of, well, okay, do you want to make this x1, y1, and x2, y2? Okay, why not? Doesn't really matter which order, but we do negative 7 minus 1 squared plus 8 minus 3 squared. So that gives us the square root of negative 8 squared plus 5 squared, which gives us the square root of 64 plus 25, which gives us the square root of 89. Now, do I need to take the square root of this or figure this out or simplify it anyway? No. Stop there. Because the circle formula is x minus h, y minus k, and then r squared. So I'm going to square the square root. So it'll cancel out. So if I simplify it, then it just makes things harder later, right? So just leave it a square root, even if it's a perfect square, even if it's 25 or 100, just leave it. You don't need to go any further. I'm going to plug in h and k, which was my center. So I have x minus negative 7 squared plus y minus 8 squared is equal to the square root of 89 squared. So x plus 7, y minus 8, and then the square root of 89 squared is just 89. And that's the equation of a circle that has a center at negative 7, 8 that goes through 1, 3. So you have to find the radius, but to find the radius, we do the distance formula, which is why I put those two sections together, distance formula first, then circle, because it matches. So you find the distance, which is the same as the radius, and then you just square it. And then you plug in the center. So same as this, but you have to find the radius first. Okay, so first we have to find the radius, which is equal to the distance, which is x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. So I have the square root of 4 minus 2 and negative 3 minus 7. So I get the square root of 2 squared plus negative 10 squared. So the square root of 4 plus 100, which is the square root of 104, and I don't really care what the square root of 104 is, I just need this, and I stop. Okay. And the circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So I'm going to plug in h, and I'm going to plug in k, and I'm going to plug in r. Okay. Don't forget, if your number up here is negative, it has to be minus the negative, so it becomes a positive, and the square root and the square cancel each other out. And in the first one, I don't do anything. It's the same. This becomes y plus 3 squared is equal to 104. That is the equation for the circle I just made up. What if I gave you a diameter that has endpoints here and here? What that means is, okay, I have some circle, right? That's not a circle. I have some circle. Well, that's kind of an ellipse. Hold on. I'm going to be a perfectionist right now. Darn it. Whatever. Okay, fine. I have a circle, and there's a diameter that goes through it, and the endpoints are at 3, 6, and 5, 10. But to find the equation of a circle, I need the center and the radius. The center of a circle is the midpoint of a diameter. Do you guys see where I'm going with this? So our first step is going to be find the midpoint, which equals the center. Our second step will be to find the radius, and then our third step will be to plug everything in. Okay? So first we have to find the midpoint. And if you recall, the midpoint is x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So we're going to get 3 plus 5 divided by 2, and 6 plus 10 divided by 2, which gives me 8 divided by 2 and 16 divided by 2, which gives me 4 and 8. This is my center, so this is HK. Now, I'm going to find the radius. So I'm going to find the distance. I can use either of these points, and the distance should be the same if we did the midpoint correctly. The only way it wouldn't be the same is if we didn't do the midpoint correctly, but we did. So it does not matter which point you use. Now, this point is going to give you... No, they're going to give you the same. So it doesn't matter which point we use. Which one would you like to use, 3 and 6 or 5 and 10? 5 and 10? Okay, so this is going to be our x1, y1. This is going to be our x2, y2, and we're done with this one. We're not going to use that guy anymore. Okay? So our second thing we're going to do is we're going to find r, and r equals the distance, which was x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. So I'm going to say 5 minus 4 squared plus 10 minus 8 squared, which gives me 1 squared plus 2 squared, which gives me the square root of 5, right? Because that's 1 plus 4. Okay, square root of 5. That's my radius. So now I have my radius and I have my center. So my third step is to plug in. For the circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So x minus 4 squared plus y minus 8 squared is equal to the square root of 5 squared. Step 1, find the center. So our midpoint is x1 plus x2 over 2. You don't have to write this if you know it. X1 is negative 8 plus 2 is divided by 2. And then 4 plus negative 4 or minus 4 divided by 2. So I get negative 6 divided by 2 and 0 divided by 2, which is acceptable. 0 can be on top, it just can't be on the bottom. So I get negative 3, 0. All right. Monday. Okay, so we want to find the radius, which is equal to the distance, which again, you don't have to write this down if you don't want to. So, we have to just make a decision. This is our center, right? This is HK. Which point do you want to use? Negative 8, 4 or 2, negative 4? This one? Okay, so we're going to not use this one. So this will be x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay. I feel bad. We used him and now we're done with him. All right. 2 minus negative 3 squared plus negative 4 minus 0 squared. So I get 2 plus 3, so that's 5 squared plus negative 4 squared. So I get the square root of 25 plus 16, which is the square root of 41. Done. That's my radius. So this is radius. This is center. You can. I have faith in you. This is the center. This is the radius. Okay. And last, we're going to plug it in. Yes. Okay. So x minus h is negative 3. Y minus k, which is 0, and that equals the square root of 41 squared. The square and the square root will cancel each other out. Minus a negative is positive, so I get x plus 3 squared plus, well, what's y minus 0? Really? Y, thank you, yes. Y squared equals 41. If you have a 0, it just becomes y squared or x squared. We have the equation. We're going to sketch the circle. Okay, this is r squared. So our radius is the square root of 36. So that makes our radius 6.
Where did you get 30? Okay, got it.
Okay. This is our center. This is H. This is K. But remember, it's X minus H, Y minus K. So if this is negative, our center is positive, and if it's positive, it's negative. So here's our center. Okay? All right. I'm going to pause so I can put some. Here's what we do. We have our center, we have our radius. Center, 3, negative 5. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our radius is 6, so we go 6 away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you're just kind of sketching a circle. Does it have to be a perfect circle? No, because you know what? People don't draw perfect circles. It's okay. Could I make it a perfect circle? Yeah, I could use a compass, whatever. Of course, this graph paper is not perfect either now that I'm looking at it, but whatever. I get the idea. If you have the center in the right place and you're 6 spaces away, you've sketched the graph.
What about my Uncle Perfect Circle Johnson?
Well, if Uncle Perfect Circle Johnson can do it, then make him draw it.